بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحابته ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم انزل علينا بحكمتك وانشر علينا برحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. وصل لهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الكرام ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. I wanted to inshallah go over a booklet that was written by a man known as Sultan al-Ulama, the Sultan of the Scholars, Izzuddin Abdul Aziz bin Abdul Salam al-Sulaymi, and he died in 660. He lived in Egypt, and he was known also to have mastered the two madhabs, which is rare in the history of Islam. In fact, I think he's the only person that really has that maqam. But he wrote this book, and he called it Al-Fitna wal-Baraya wal-Mahan wal-Razaya wa-Fawaid al-Balwa wal-Mahan. The book of calamities, tribulations, hardships, and disasters, or the benefits of tribulation and tests. And he wrote it actually to point out all the tests, the benefits that come from having tribulation in your life. And one of the aspects of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taslima, one of the most extraordinary aspects of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life is that he never allowed tribulations to disquiet him. In other words, he never allowed any difficulties that he faced or hardships to perturb him, to put him in a state of turbulence. And the word in Arabic for somebody who has forbearance is called halim. And the word halim is a word that the Prophet ﷺ was described as وَكَانَ أَحْلَمَ النَّاسِ. He had more forbearance than anybody else. That's a description. Now, the word for intellect is hilm. That's one of the words for intellect, is hilm. One of the things they accused the Prophet ﷺ of was يُسَفِّهُ أَحْلَامَنَا, causes us to lose our intellects or to make us look like fools. Because safiyah is opposite of halim. So the man of intellect is somebody who has hilm, and the man without intellect is somebody who has safaha. And safaha is, they call it khiffat al-aql. Safaha is a lightness, there's no stability. Because what intellect should do is it should stabilize you. And that's why the halim is somebody who does not get disquieted. He doesn't get perturbed in life. Now, what's interesting about disquietude is that the word for dreamer is halim. The word for a person who's dreaming is halam. Right? Now, why do you think the word for somebody who does not get perturbed is halim, and the word for a dreamer is halim? Ahlam is intellect, but it's also dreams. Adghathul ahlam in Surah Yusuf. The dreams were called empty dreams. Why do you think there's a connection between hilm and dream and intellect? Yeah, it's hard to dream when somebody's agitating you. Dreams need a state of quietude in order for you to sleep. Now, the word for nipple is halama. And a child, when they're at the nipple, what happens to their state? What does the mother do when the child's in a perturbed state, the infant? She gives it the breast, which is called halama. And what happens to the child? It goes into a state of complete quietude and relaxation. Now, isn't it interesting that milk and knowledge are from the same source? And that's why when Sayyidina Umar in the sound hadith saw a dream in which the Prophet, milk was coming out of his fingers and Sayyidina Umar was drinking it. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-ilm, al-ilm. It's knowledge, it's knowledge. So, isn't it interesting that ghawaya, which means to go astray, means the inability to digest milk? In Arabic, you can look these up in Arabic dictionary. Ghawaya, which is to go astray, the root of it means the inability to digest milk. Because our first stage is to get through the 2 years. And in Western developmental psychology, they call it that first crisis is trust versus mistrust. That's what the child needs to realize, is that they are in a safe environment. And if they're not given milk, they're neglected by their mother, if they're mistreated, they don't get through that first developmental stage, and then every stage after that is a disaster. According to Erickson, I mean, this is a theory in developmental psychology, but my point of bringing that up is that trust versus mistrust is related to whether or not the mother removes the disquietude of the child or not. Because that's the key thing that the mother has to do, is recognize that the cry of the baby, there's a reason babies cry. And if you grew up in this country in the 60s, there was a character named Dr. Spock, and they're always giving new theories about how to raise children. But one of the theories in the 50s was mothers should ignore the cry of the child and regulate the milk according to fixed times, which is complete insanity. But that's what they did. And now look at the society out there. So the Halim, the person who's Halim, is a person who, in the face of tribulation, whether it's a person or whether it's a circumstance, they do not lose their cool. They do not become perturbed. And this is the hallmark of the Prophet ﷺ in terms of his behavior with people and with circumstances, is that, for instance, he is described, whenever people would speak ill to him, he would return with idfa' billati hiya ahsan. Idfa' billati hiya ahsan. The Quran says, give a bad turn, repay it with a good turn. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was migrating from Mecca to Medina, he actually, ﷺ, according to the narration, Abu Bakr was very perturbed. He was